You know, Hollywood would be a lot safer place for young women if guys just lived their lives a little more like Vice President Mike Pence. And yet feminist harpies mock the VP for what he does to protect women and his own reputation from allegations of sexual harassment. So let me get something straight here. If you are against sexual abuse and Mike Pence has a solution to stop it, why on earth would feminists be against that? Now, I'm not saying they want to be harassed, but come on. Every day, another sexual harassment scandal flies out of Hollywood, and the environment that we're told is so progressive and so forward-thinking and so accepting and so modern turns out to be filled with a bunch of slimy brutes who rape and sexually harass women as they please, or if you're Kevin Spacey, a teenage boy, allegedly, of course. Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, Dustin Hoffman, Brett Ratner, Ben Affleck, Jeremy Piven, Roy Price, and James Toback are a few of the names who have been accused of varying degrees of sexual misconduct. It seems just about every woman in Hollywood has a story to share about one man or another who tried to abuse her sexually. Now, I don't want to call anyone in Hollywood who's made assault or rape allegations a liar, Lena Dunham, but the fact of the matter is, statistically speaking, not all of these allegations are going to stick. That's just how the odds roll out. But some of them will, and enough are valid enough to raise this question: how do we prevent these sexual misconduct allegations from occurring in the first place? Well, Mike Pence has a solution, and it's been dubbed the Pence Rule. According to the Washington Post, quote, "He never eats alone with a woman other than his wife, and he won't attend events featuring alcohol without her by his side either." Well, that sounds like a smart plan to me. I'm sure Mrs. Pence doesn't mind that rule, but the liberals in the media, not so much. Stephen Colbert immediately jumped on him to mock this notion. Watch.
Pence never eats alone with a woman other than his wife. That can only mean one thing. Mike Pence is such an out-of-control Force 5 bone-a-cane that he has to be monitored by Karen Pence at all times.
And of course, the shrieking hags at Vogue came out in full force against this. They also tried to make it seem like Pence is some rapey animal who doesn't respect women and can't control himself. They wrote, quote, "All the easier to see women as subhumans whose bodies should be subject to government control when you can't so much as sit across from and share a burger with one. When a man and a woman get together, even if it's to discuss a PowerPoint presentation, there is either underlying confusion about whether spontaneous sex is on the table or the risk of potential abuse looming in the air." All right, first of all, none of the starving editors at Vogue eat burgers, none of them. Secondly, the Pence Rule is not at all about seeing women as subhuman or merely objects whom you can have sex with. This is about honoring the vow that you made to your wife and the covenant that you made with God, and protecting yourself from people who want to profiteer from your fame or power. For men in highly public positions, it comes down to being a protection against false accusations. When you're in a room with another woman alone and she accuses you of sexually harassing her, if it's just you and her, you have no protection other than your word against hers. But if you add another person into the mix, you have a witness that can say, "I was there and nothing happened and this woman is lying." And it's no small secret, a small number of women do lie about this kind of thing, and it only takes one liar to ruin someone's life. And some women actually are harassed or, God forbid, assaulted, and a witness could testify on behalf of the woman if something gross and inexcusable did happen. So it's a win-win. The guy is protected from false accusations, and the woman is protected from anything that could potentially happen. Justice prevails, and of course, the feminists hate that. And as is often the case, there's also a political element to this. At the end of the day, feminists just don't like Mike Pence, all right? When someone they like follows the Pence Rule, the narrative, of course, just switches. Vanity Fair, who also ran an article commending Colbert for that mockery of Pence, seemed to change their tune when it came to a good Hollywood type that they like. They explained that this actor David Schwimmer followed the Pence Rule when he had an interview with a journalist in the room, and he told her, quote, he could make sure there was a third person in the room. The journalist called that an indicator of Schwimmer's integrity and sensitivity. This wasn't just about his being a good guy who would not have tried anything. He understood what it is like to have to be constantly on the alert, and he wanted to make sure I understood I was safe. Oh yes, a man to keep you safe. Isn't that what all women want? But in all seriousness, the opposition to the Pence Rule has nothing to do with whether or not it would actually help protect the accused and the accuser from sexual harassment scandals. In fact, if it were called the Schwimmer Rule, the feminazis would probably demand it be added to the Constitution. But feminists rarely are interested in doing the things that could actually help women. Instead, it's a political farce aimed at Mike Pence, a conservative Republican whom they hate, and they will use anything in their arsenal to take him out, even if it means taking an anti-woman stance that ensures more sexual misconduct and more sexual abuse.